Hey there. Ritual here to give a big shout out to you for making it through the hectic holiday season. The magic of those family moments, that was you. And now there's new milestones to prep for in 2025. This new year, check clean, quality pregnancy nutrient support off your to-do list with Ritual. We've done the research to create science-backed pregnancy support like our prenatal multivitamin, natal choline, and fertility support, all designed to be taken alongside each other. But don't just take our word for it. They're also third-party tested for microbes and heavy metals and Clean Label Project certified. So whether you're trying, thinking about trying, or already there, we don't have to tell you that prioritizing yourself can be the hardest part. That's why we're helping you get started today with 30% off a 3-month supply for a limited time at ritual.com/podcast. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Unknowns are in contact in the vital area. Away the Nixie team away. Away the Nixie team away. Set general quarters. Set general quarters. General quarters, on hands, leave out station. General quarters, on hands, leave out station.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Sackheads Against Tyranny, starring Sackheads Clint on your right, obviously on your right. Obviously, Sackheads Clint is on the right of me. Wait, I'm gesturing in the wrong direction. This is Sackheads Clint.
I thought you were talking about politically. I'm to the right of you.
You are to the right of me. So
politically.
Let's see. Right. Yes, correct.
Politically, I'm to the right of you.
Correct. And you're also to the right of me.
No, I'm
here.
No, you're to the right of
on
me.
The screen, right here.
We're across from each other.
Yes, we are, but folks in the studio...
Folks in the studio?
Yes. All of you people that are in the studio right now...
And he didn't mean you people in that way?
No, you people...
Right.
Damn it. Who are in the studio...
No, we're in the studio.
We are. My God! All right, I just started the show. I started.
This is a chat show already.
It is a chat show already, which is really fun because I just started. Let's see. I started Facebook first, then I started YouTube, then I started Spreaker because you got to do it in that order because YouTube is kind of pissing me off. I used to start them first.
Freaking technology.
I know. And now, just when I started, the funny thing was. There was nobody in chat, and like 32.735 seconds later, there's already people in chat.
I thought you were going to say 32.75 people are in chat.
there are those, too. Whiskey Dale is already in chat. Mike is already in chat, so welcome to all those folks. We appreciate your being here. It's been another week. It's Wednesday.
This seems like Friday.
Does it seem like it?
Yes.
Your week has been that long?
Yes.
Holy crap. Well,
yes.
You still have 2 more damn
days. This actually seems like next Wednesday.
Wow, okay. I can't see that far into the future, but okay.
Yeah, I felt like I just bypassed straight through a weekend, powered on through the beginning part of yet another week, and then I'm hearing that this is like our 4th or 5th or 10th show.
Now, here's the funny...
That's what I feel like.
Does it really feel like it's our... 5th or 6th or 7th show or 10th show or something like that?
Yeah.
It really does?
Yeah.
Okay. To me, it does not. It feels like...
Like the first time?
It feels
You're
like
so
the
sweet.
First time.
Don't get us sued. For
feels like the very
Who sings
first
that?
time. Foreigner.
Keep it that way. So,
Okay, don't give up my day job is what you're saying.
Don't give up your retirement. Don't come out of retirement for that.
In other words, what you're saying is don't do karaoke either.
No.
Okay, another story. Long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, I was going on an extradition with my partner, Tad Easterday. And we were going to, where were we?
I don't know.
We ended up in Pendleton, Oregon. And we had to cross to another state in order to pick up this guy.
Well, yes, because to go into Oregon, you do cross into another state.
Yeah, that's true. And it was Christmas. And
wait, you got a prisoner on Christmas?
Yeah. Well,
what kind of heartless bastard?
It was the day before Christmas.
That's even worse.
And all through the house,
yeah.
the warrants detectives were coming and to pick up you louse. So there we were. We thought we'd go, okay, so we went to the Pendleton factory in Oregon where they make the blankets and the shirts and all that kind of stuff. And I got about a $500 blanket, which they called a second because in terms of the machine, it skipped a color. And you couldn't damn tell. I got a $500 blanket for about maybe $110 or something like that. But
wow.
The point of the story is BZ, myself and Tad Easterday, before we had to go pick up the guy the next day, we got all liquored up. And it was the night before Christmas. Almost no bars are open in Pendleton, as you can imagine. So I think we went to the Holiday Inn. And the Holiday Inn had about 75,000 people in it. And we got all liquored up, and Tad refused to do karaoke. So BZ did karaoke, all liquored up, and sang Steppenwolf, Born to be Wild.
Let me tell you about a liquored up karaoke story of my own.
Okay. And I was damn good, I should say.
Yeah.
I was damn good at karaoke.
Look, let me tell you, it was the best training I have ever been to, ever. Ever.
Okay.
And it was a 2-week long course.
The karaoke?
No, the training.
Okay.
And there were about 22 of us, all from throughout the country.
Okay.
At this one, and it was just one of those where you go to trainings with a bunch of different people from a bunch of different units and everything, and like people kind of click, right? So yeah, these people kind of go out. It's very rare.
You get into groups, right?
Right.
Is that what you're
it's
talking
very
about? Like
rare.
This group over here and this group over there.
Yeah. It's very rare that the entire class clicks. Well, that's what happened here. And we all went out like every night and just got shattered. But there was this one bar that we went to.
Shattered.
And there was
I like that.
That's a
shattered.
That's a throwback to Sean. I can't even take credit for that.
I like that. I'm gonna have to start using it.
Yeah, that's I gotta give credit where credit's due. That came from Sackhead Sean. This show needed a little Boston at that moment.
Boston.
And so, anyways, there's this bar we would go to, and if you can picture this, here is 22 young guys. And we were all just freaking hammered. And this bar is it's in the middle of Carson City, Nevada. If you know anything about Carson City, Nevada, off of 395.
Okay, it's the capital of Nevada.
Yes, it is, but there's not much to it.
Hey there. Ritual here to give a big shout out to you for making it through the hectic holiday season. The magic of those family moments, that was you. And now there's new milestones to prep for in 2025. This new year, check clean, quality, pregnancy nutrient support off your to-do list with Ritual. We've done the research to create science-backed pregnancy support like our prenatal multivitamin, natal choline, and fertility support, all designed to be taken alongside each other. But don't just take our word for it. They're also third-party tested for microbes and heavy metals and Clean Label Project certified. So whether you're trying, thinking about trying, or already there, we don't have to tell you that prioritizing yourself can be the hardest part. That's why we're helping you get started today with 30% off a 3-month supply for a limited time at ritual.com/podcast. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Big shout out to you for making it through the hectic holiday season. This new year, get clean, quality pregnancy nutrient support off your to-do list, including Ritual's best-selling Essential Prenatal Multivitamin, designed with 12 traceable key ingredients to support a healthy pregnancy. With big changes coming up, take the small steps now and start today with 30% off a 3-month supply at ritual.com/podcast. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
And literally, we were singing Friends in Low Places.
Okay.
Garth Brooks, Friends in Low Places.
Right, perfect.
And not just once.
Because the more you
because
the more you sang it, the funnier it got.
Oh,
right?
yeah, and the louder it got. And we even got more people up on stage. It was amazing. Yeah.
And after that,
there's more to that story, but I will tell you off the air.
It's not suitable for broadcast.
It is not suitable for broadcast.
NSFB. I should also tell you that in terms of karaoke, I not only sang "Born to Be Wild" by Steppenwolf, but I also sang "Don't Fear the Reaper."
I can see you singing
by Blue Oyster Cult.
I can see you singing. Did you go to the Blue Oyster Bar? Is that what you said?
No, it was the...
Do you know what the Blue Oyster Bar is?
It was the Holiday Inn. No, I don't. What is the Blue Oyster Bar?
Have you ever seen the movie Police Academy?
Oh, long time ago. I don't remember.
Do you remember the bar?
No, sorry. I remember Bubba Smith was in it.
Do you remember the gay bar?
Oh, I can tell you a story about that, but I'll save that for afterwards.
It was the Blue Oyster Bar. That was the name of it.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
By the way, I wonder if they have any Blue Oyster Bar shirts.
Good question.
Because I might need one.
If I find one,
but see, nobody's going to know what that is at this point.
You might find one on your desk. Hey, you know what's out? Super Troopers 2.
Yes, I want to see that.
So if we can get Sackhead's Sean and yourself and me to go see a silly movie, that would be a great silly movie.
They have the Police Academy the Blue Oyster Bar shirt.
They do have one.
They do. I'm going to show it right.
Oh, okay.
Right there.
Oh, perfect. Okay. There we go, the Blue Oyster.
And that's the writing that was on.
Clang.
I wonder.
On the bar itself.
I wonder how many people would actually get that reference. That's like I have a shirt that I wear, and it's an outline of the state of Tennessee.
Okay.
But it says something like "America is great" or something like that, and it says Kentucky
America.
Right across the bottom of it. And I have more people come up and ask me, "Oh, are you from Kentucky?" I've had only a handful of people come up and laugh and like stare for a moment and then laugh and get that it's a joke because it's clearly Tennessee.
Oh, okay. You mentioned gay bar. I'm gonna. I can't not tell everyone this. Back when I went to Quantico for the FBI, there's a bar. You may not know, but at FLETC, which is the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center,
I know all about FLETC,
and also at Quantico, they have bars.
Yes.
On the site.
I have heard.
So that if you want a drink, you don't go out, you don't go off the campus, you stay on the campus. And the bar at FLETC happens to be called the gay bar because at one time, until they started letting a lot of women in there, it was just a bunch of guys going to a bar. So its unofficial name is the gay bar.
That's funny.
Just thought I'd.
So have you ever been to a gay bar?
There.
You can't say no to that.
You
can't say no to that.
All right. Okay. Yes. Okay. That brings up this too, and I'll throw it over to the people in chat. Look, there's me. Hi, me in chat. I don't know if I even should go there. I will. What the hell? Fuck it. Have you ever been hit on by a gay guy?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. No. Look. I'm comfortable enough to admit that. I'm totally okay with that. Absolutely, I have.
Okay. Alrighty. And circumstances or anything like that? Or
yeah, I don't want to get into the circumstances, but it's actually. Look, I will say this. It's not only women who like men in uniform.
Okay. Okay. All right. I think I see where this may be going.
Yeah.
All right.
And so, I have. And I've been hit on by gay men just walking around too.
On
like not a lot.
because.
Like it doesn't happen like all the time, but it has happened a handful of times.
Okay.
And I'm not one of the, I don't like puff up and get all angry or anything. I just say.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
The gate doesn't swing that direction. That's all.
Yeah. Hey, I was flattered.
Yeah,
but,
thanks for thinking I'm cute.
Yeah,
Appreciate
it. Thanks for the fashion tip, right? Like,
move on.
That's the only tip I want from you.
Yeah,
so just as long as
literally nothing to see here.
Yeah, as long as we're clear. But no, it doesn't bother me. It really doesn't. Like, and a matter of fact, I remember one instance. He was actually, he was pretty.
Do you notice? Wait, I got to say this, folks. Do you notice how Sackheads Clint said in one instance, meaning that what happened numerous times? Just throwing that out for consideration too.
You know what? Gay men have found me attractive in the past. Probably in my younger days because I'm a lot older now. But anyways, he was actually like pretty persistent, and I finally said, "Listen, hey, look, I don't like what you do for you is great. Hey, God bless you. Just understand, I don't agree with it. It's not how I choose to be. But it's just you need to stop now." Because
but the point is, you're not going to deck somebody in the face.
No, of course not. Absolutely not.
That's
and
just
as a matter of fact, if they're respectful, I felt like a hashtag Me Tooer, right? Like in retrospect, I'm like, wow, I was totally like I was groped and everything.
No, really.
But no, I wasn't groped. Okay, that would have been a different story. But no, it was
for another time, right?
For another time. But it was literally that. Like that blatant, that bad, where I was kind of like to where I had to become. I would say I had to become a little firmer, but in this context, that wouldn't have been taken well.
I do
right?
see what you did there with firmer.
But
I do see that.
Yes. But I had to become more stern because I had to, and I don't like but I had to say, hey, look I don't go that way. I don't agree with it. That's your decision, not mine. You need to stop.
I had to put on a little frown there for a second.
Yeah.
Little Clint frown, Sackhead's Clint frown. No, that's
not it. We're not going there.
Nope.
So yes, I have.
Okay. And did you sing karaoke?
No.
You have never sang karaoke.
Oh yes, I have. I just told you the story about karaoke.
Okay,
but not at a gay bar.
Okay.
And not after I got hit on.
Okay.
Like I didn't sing Islands in the Stream or anything like that, holding some other dude's hand.
But okay, so what you're saying is you've only sang karaoke once. I
didn't say that.
Under the prescription of certain lubricants.
Now, the only time I do sing karaoke is if I've had
a few. A couple of pops.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Otherwise, I don't sing karaoke.
Okay. All right. Hey, how about...
So hang on a second. You didn't finish your story about being hit on by all the dudes.
Actually, I was...
When you were drunk and then you gave into it and you kind of liked it.
Well, it opens up your base of clientele further, right?
Yeah, this is true. You're missing out on 50% of the population. You increase your chances of getting laid from that bar.
No, it was... I am torn. I mean...
You were torn? I'm sorry. So he was a large man.
Jesus.
Oh, you were screaming to your deity too? Wow.
Okay.
Look, that's cool, BZ. Look,
okay, wait. I will really tell the story because I didn't want to, but now it's so involved. Jesus, I'm going to have to. Okay. I was going to college. And
sometimes we do things experimentally in college.
Yes.
It's okay.
Well, the stories. In any event, so I'm on campus of Sac State, California State University, Sacramento, which is over that way somewhere. Mm-hmm. And so I get hit on by, first, a girl, okay?
Okay.
And she says, I want you to come to this meeting. I think you look really nice. You'd make an interesting date, but it's over in Davis, and it's tomorrow night. Would you like to go? I said, okay. I had, for those who don't know, Davis is an extremely left-wing city, and it has the University of California, Davis in it, which is a great veterinarian college and a great agricultural college, and it's left as fuck. It's on the order of Berkeley.
Which is weird that it's so far left, given it's a large agricultural school.
Yeah, it's just weird that way. And everybody around here in Sacramento and California calls that, just like the Republic of Berkeley, they call it the Republic of Davis. Mm-hmm. But, of course, it's got a college in it. And
of course it does.
She was attempting to pick me up and take me over there. So the very next day, we make an agreement that she's going to drive. I get into the car, and in the car is her and a guy. So she's driving, and she says, I've got a whole bunch of stuff in the front seat, sit in the back seat. So I sit in the back seat. Well, this is where the guy is.
By the way, and just
in the back seat.
I'm sorry, on your point, just this is how far left the UC system is.
Okay.
Janet Napolitano.
Oh, right. God, I'd forgotten about that. Yeah, tell everybody.
Yeah, Janet Napolitano is the UC. What is she? The UC president, right?
Yep.
Yeah, she's the president of the University of California system.
President of
Janet
the entire
Napolitano.
The entire system.
If that tells you how far fucking left it is. Okay,
That's-
sorry. Go ahead, BZ. I apologize.
Kind of a clue.
So you're with the dude in the back seat, and your pants came off. Go ahead. That's I think where you left off.
So we get onto Interstate 80, which is the major east-west thoroughfare between Sacramento and Davis. And we're in the car. I'm sitting in the back of the car with this guy, and there really is a bunch of crap on the passenger seat in the front, so he can't sit there and I can't sit there. Mm-hmm. I'm sitting in the back seat with this guy, and the next thing I know, I feel a hand reaching over to my leg over here a little bit, and it starts kind of rubbing back and forth on my leg. And at this point in my ute, I'm not quite sure what the fuck to do. And I got about 10 more minutes. Okay, I can keep on with the story. So, in the back, I am puzzled as bat fuck, which is really puzzled, by the way.
That's very puzzled.
And he doesn't do anything more, and he's talking to her, and now you're not getting any conversation out of me because I'm like...
Really turned on.
Oh, the brain is going, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? Do I be rude and tell him stop? And then do I fist this guy? Oh God, I shouldn't have said that. Oh God.
Right.
Okay.
No, I know where you're going with that.
Okay. Yeah. And so we get there, and where it is that we get, I thought it was going to be like a bar or something like that. No, you know where these two people took me?
To the woods.
They took me to a Scientology church. They took me to the Church of Scientology in Davis. And I still have not gotten, I mean, I went in there. Now, once we left the car, the guy acted like I didn't even exist. But as far as I'm concerned, that was clear evidence of attempting to be hit upon. Once we got in there, it was a big meeting, and they had some drinks and stuff, and they were trying
big meeting like MEATING? Like a big orgy?
T.
Got it. Okay. Look, given the context of where this conversation was going, I don't know.
That's
BZ.
right. That's right.
It's a legitimate question.
You're just along for the ride.
Yeah. Well, no,
just
you
like
were
me.
apparently. Yeah.
And it wasn't until I actually got in there and I started listening to the speaker. The dude disappeared in the crowd. There were probably 100, 150 people in here. It turns out it was a recruiting seminar for Scientology. But I still never grokked the concept of, was it the chick trying to pick me up to get me to go over there? Was that what I responded to? And then where did the guy that was trying to hit on me in the back seat, where did that go? I never got the real linkage between all of that stuff.
So how'd you get home? How's this end?
They drove me home, or excuse me, she drove me home. I never saw the guy again. And that was the only time that I ever got hit on by another guy. And then she was in, my God, I just remembered this. She was in a philosophy class, BZ in philosophy, what the hell, and kept trying to get me to go back. But I was so uncomfortable with all of that stuff, I thought, I'm going to find myself in the bottom of a swamp somewhere with a pillow sack over my head and an electrical cord tied around my neck somewhere. So, no, thanks, ma'am, I'm not going back. But it was a recruitment tool. Maybe they thought, okay, if the chick didn't get me, maybe the guy will get me as a recruitment tool for Scientology. I still to this day, there was one of the weirdest nights in my life. I was never so glad to get out of an automobile, even though it was only her in the car when we went back.
You still didn't know if you were going to end up in the bottom of a river.
I still didn't know if, I'd wake up dead, like I say, with a pillow around my head and an electrical cord tied around my neck. So, God, that was weird.
So where'd the chicken come in?
Yeah, that's right. You know how hard it is to put hose on a chicken? It's really, really damn tough. With their little claws.
Yes.
And
you got to cut the feet off.
You rip it so easy. So anyway.
You're trying to put lipstick on the chicken after the hose are on?
That's just an aside. Well, I always found those little rolling tubes by Revlon were a lot easier to apply because the lipstick would stick out a lot more.
Yes. And
make it easier for application.
Correct.
I always liked the ruby red. I thought ruby red in a chicken lips that's like the ultimate application for a chicken.
So, folks, what did we learn? We learned that BZ had his first homosexual experience in college, and he, in his bestiality, tendencies,
try saying that.
Likes chickens.
Real easy.
Yeah, I don't know what the proper word tendencies. Huh.
Okay.
Look, some interesting.
All right, so we did learn some other things about each other tonight.
We did
that I didn't know. I'd been hit upon once. In order, apparently, in a futile attempt to get me to join Scientology.
Right. Right. So
and Sackheads Clint has been hit upon numerous times by gay guys.
Right. So you've been hit on
in a bar. Did it ever happen in a bar? Did you ever get picked up or an attempt to pick up in a bar?
No, I don't think so. I got looked at, and I've been looked at and checked out.
Right.
In a bar. By the same sex, but I mean very free, just it wasn't somebody was trying to buy me drinks or anything like that.
Oh,
yeah,
okay. Oh, yeah. Did I ever tell you the prostitute story?
I don't know if I want to hear this.
You may want to hear this. I may have told Sean. I told my wife. Because I had to come clean. And if
that's dirty. I see what you did there.
Yeah. Oh, hey, Right Wing Aviators in chat. Right Wing, good to see you.
Hello.
Me is in chat. Good to see you guys, too. Thanks for being in chat. Okay, we went to... Now, we're not going this year to Freedom Fest 2018. But we did go, all the Sackheads, you, me, Sackheads, Sean. We went to Freedom Fest last year, 2017. And it was at the... what was that place called?
It's at the Paris last year.
Paris, right. Okay, and it's at the Paris this year, too. And Sackhead Sean, I don't remember where you were. You might have been up in the room, or maybe you were in a bar drinking or something like that. Or maybe you and Sean decided that you were going to go somewhere. But I was waiting for either you or Sean. Remember that little raised area where you would drink adjacent where we got the coffee in the morning?
Yep,
okay,
absolutely.
So I was sitting there.
Right there in the front area.
Yeah, and Sean had just been talking to me, and he disappeared. And I think you guys decided that you were going to go up to your room and then come back and go drinking. So I'm sitting there, and I do have a drink. I got a drink in my hand. It's not very many people in there. And I'm sitting.
The story from last year.
And, look at me, really. Yeah, look at this, and look at this, and look at this. And at my advanced, decrepit age, does this look anything like a visage that one would think would be hit upon by a prostitute? No, the immediate answer is fuck no, okay?
Oh, I'd say yes, because you probably have money if you've reached that age and you're in Vegas.
Jesus. So... I'm sitting there, and this really good-looking gal comes by, very classy. She looks like she's about in her 30s, and I get propositioned by her to come up to her room in the Paris. She has a room in the Paris and hit on me, and I probably shouldn't have, but I actually broke down in laughter. and once I calmed down after a couple of seconds, I said, you know what? God bless you, ma'am. I appreciate it. I can't tell you what you've done for my ego tonight, but I'm sorry. I'm married. I just can't do it. But still, look at me. If you're looking at Facebook or YouTube, look at BZ and can, in your wildest dreams, ever imagine that this piece of crap would ever get hit on.
Yes.
Jesus.
So now I don't know if you remember this, but my hooker story from our first year from the first time we all went to Freedom Fest.
16?
Yes. And going down by the elevators, and I can't remember if I was with Sean or going to the elevators, and I got propositioned by a lady of the night, and I told her that I didn't think she could afford me.
I love that. Now
she didn't know whether to shit or wind her watch.
That is classy.
Yes.
That is some classy shit right
and
there.
Yeah, she said, excuse me. I said, hey, look, I don't think you can afford me. Like my clients tend to be a lot more affluent, but I appreciate that what you're trying to do.
God, if only I'd been able to think on my feet that quick. Well, of course I was sitting down, so I couldn't have done that. But if only I'd been able to think of some kind of response like that. Dude, I got to tell you, that is thinking on your feet. That's an amazing rejoinder.
We haven't even got to
we haven't even gotten to the politics yet. So we've.
I do want to tease the story. Look, there was a very important, and I know you're going to get into this after the break. Very important arrest made today.
Yes,
in Sacramento County, and basically, and right before we go to a break here, I just kind of want to tease just a little tease.
Okay.
But a fairly prolific serial killer who was and serial rapist who was active from the mid to late 70s up into the mid 80s was arrested today. Identified and arrested, and so BZ will be getting to that.
It's an incredible story.
Yeah. At least 12 to 13 victims. I think we saw one count. It was 8 victims tied by DNA, 2 by MO, and 3 that are believed to be him.
Right.
Plus over 50 rapes.
Rape.
Plus
Allegedly tied to him. Like a minimum of 12 murders, and I'm sure that
a minimum of 50 rapes.
There are probably many more because it's early in the investigation even now. It's an incredible story. It's a story that went over 40 years before this guy actually got captured.
And you had like 24 years on the department at the time when you started working on this case. So you were a seasoned detective.
Actually, no, but I'll get to that.
All this and more when we come back on Against Tyranny here on the SHR Media Network.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Hey, it's Sean from the Sackheads Radio Show, also one of the owners here at the SHR Media Network. Are you opinionated? Have you ever wanted to do your own show? Have you ever heard somebody like the Sackheads and go, yeah, I could probably do that better? Well, now's your chance. Send me a 5-minute clip at sackheadsradio@gmail.com, and maybe you can be part of the SHR broadcasting team. sackheadsradio@gmail.com.
Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, a mere 2 miles from the state capital, the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show can be heard every Tuesday and Thursday night at 8 p.m. Pacific and 11 p.m. Eastern, only on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com to listen. You can also watch on the SHR Media Facebook page and the SHR Media YouTube channel. No goldfish were abused in the making of this ad.
When dirty politicians, shadow governments, and deceptive Islam blind the world with fake stream media smoke, their only fear is one man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me through shrmedia.com, highplanestalkradio.com, and the Western Free Radio Network at Spreaker, YouTube, and iTunes for a different perspective weekly on the Unpleasant Blind Guy. And catch me on Jeff Mitchell's EDL Radio on blogtalkradio.com. There's
no surrender ever,
because truth is not always pleasant.
Hey guys, it's Sackhead Clint. I'm excited to tell you about a brand new show here on the SHR Media Network. I'm teaming up with the one and only all-powerful, the bloviating Zeppelin, sitting here to my left, bringing to you a fresh new show here on the network. It's Against Tyranny. And we'll be picking up where the Sackheads left off. Excited to be with you, sir.
Sackheads against tyranny.
We're going to chat. We're going to chat Wednesday nights.
SHAT.
Sackheads against tyranny.
Wednesday night, 11 p.m. Oh, it's the same time, right? 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific.
Same sack time, same sack channel.
SHRmedia.com.
See what I did there?
It's your business diva here, Melanie Collette. I am inviting you to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance with today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the future. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can't afford to miss it.
Human by race, Christian by faith, American by nationality, and conservative by choice. Reverend Ralph J. Chittum Sr. is the right guy on SHR Media from 8:05 to 9 p.m. Monday through Friday. And if on the rare occasion I am ever wrong, I will still always be right. The right guy on SHR Media.
Hey, this is Michael Wright.
And I'm Shannon Wright.
Join us for The Right Way with Shannon and Mike, Monday through Thursday from 7 to 9 a.m. right here on SHR Media.
Why are they joining us?
For fun things like sports, politics.
Oh, maybe some news and entertainment?
And all kinds of other things.
Money and recipes and events, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so join us Monday through Thursday, 7 to 9 a.m. here on shrmedia.com.
Hey, BZ. So the plan's working. You got rid of Sacco. Sean is now stepping away.
I never even saw him.
And I know, and insidious. You know, we talked about this for, for the last 3 years. And finally coming to fruition.
You know I'm still in the room, right?
It's almost like he's here still. Did you hear that?
Yeah, it's kind of...
It's amazing. It's kind of
at you.
It's kind of eerie.
Kind of a poltergeist.
Like a poltergeisty thing.
Yeah, Sackheads against tyranny.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And we're back. I like this. This is one of my favorites.
Is it?
Yeah.
It's very like very 20s.
Yeah, kind of jumpy. That's why I picked it.
Is this 20s or like 40s? Big band era. What is that? 40s?
Yeah, kind of like big band era. I would agree. That's kind of
more big band, not 20s,
yeah,
right?
It kind of reminds me of that. But it's got kind of that little jumping jive tune to it, which is why I liked it for a stinger. I'm gonna do some more. I found another place that has a whole bunch more stingers, and I'll make probably about another 5 or 6 more stingers that we can go through. I can use them here, and I can use them on my show as well because they're just fun. It's when you have a little variety, that's kind of fun. Now, Clint was talking about an arrest that just occurred. It literally occurred today, and this is from a cold case, and this stems from a situation that began here in Sacramento when I was working for my department. This is in 76 is when it begins. And originally the guy was called the East Area Rapist. And the East area of Sacramento County is Citrus Heights, kind of around there and whatnot. But because of the number of rapes that this guy had pulled off, the department decided, and the department was much smaller than it is now, and with much less equipment, etc. But the sheriff at the time decided to pull out all the stops, and it was Dwayne Lowe. And nobody remembers Dwayne Lowe as a sheriff, but I certainly do. He was a great guy. Nobody could drink as much as Dwayne Lowe when he went to the Pheasant Club in Yolo County. You'll have to see me later about stories on that. In any event, we got sent out, myself and another partner, in a Matador. We didn't fleet purchase Matadors, but somehow they found a bunch of unmarked Matadors, and we went out and we would perch for an entire night. We'd find all sorts of different places to perch, and this is where I saw my first set of NVGs, which are night vision goggles. I'd never seen them before, and the only information that we were given was, don't break the NVGs. don't fuck around with the NVGs.
I don't care if you don't catch this fucker, but you will not lose.
You will not damage these things. And you will bring them in, and you're gonna sign out for them, and you're gonna sign in for them. And it was brand new technology at the time, so we would sit and just wait to see. I don't know who made out the list of places where we were gonna sit. But we changed every night for a while, and there were 5 or 6 other cars out there like us, unmarked, at night, all over Sacramento County, because we didn't know at the time that he was concentrating mostly in the East area, because it was, I don't know if you ever had some kind of a crime that occurred in your area, to the folks that are listening, but a serial crime to the point where everyone in your community is so over the top afraid that people are starting to do silly things, and they're boarding up windows. There was, I told you this before we started the show, there was one woman down in the South area on one of the parkways who there were. You always get prowler calls that you would respond to late at night, and she had a prowler, somebody that she thought was trying to get into her window. Now, whether in fact it was the East Area Rapist or somebody else, no one knows. I don't know, and I don't know if she knew as well. But that was the MO at the time of the guy, was he would probably sit upon a particular home, find out who was living there, and initially when he first went in there, he was doing it with people that were alone, all by themselves. And so he'd go in, commit the rape, the act, take everything with him, etc. Just a creepy, creepy guy. So at this point, there were no murders associated with the people that he raped in Sacramento. This one particular chick, we responded, the sheriff's department responded to a prowler call, and this was during the East Area Rapist thing. And her husband erected, this is no joke, a what I think was at least a 10 to 15 foot wall all around their entire home of cinder blocks, and a gate, a very expensive gate all around the home, just because his wife, it was so large and so obvious, people were driving by the street just to look at the wall, because it was known in the community that it was thought that the East Area Rapist attempted to hit here. The paranoia in Sacramento at the time was absolutely massive. Well, he was not identified for 40 years. Subsequently, it turns out, he wasn't just a rapist. He was a murderer.
Yeah.
And now there are at least a minimum of 12 counts that are ascribed to him. And there are some cold case people, some people that have been working on that for quite some time, and they began to turn up DNA evidence. In the meantime, it appears that he moved to Southern California, and that's where he began his spate of murders. So let me get into the story, the meat of the matter. The guy's name is Joseph James DeAngelo. If anyone happens to know him by name, he's 72 now. But they had all sorts of East Area Rapist drawings and whatnot, and you can go to sacb.com to look at the drawings and then the photograph of the current guy. Joseph James DeAngelo, he was 72. He was arrested about 2:30 this morning here in Sacramento in connection to the East Area Rapist case. And they knew him also in other jurisdictions as the Golden State Killer. He raped at least 45 women, and they're, at least at this point, ascribing 12 murders to him. It turns out that he's an ex-cop. He apparently worked for Auburn PD.
Was he an ex-cop? Was he like a 30-year, like a 20-year, 30-year ex-cop?
No.
Or was he somebody who was a cop for like a year or two, and then they found out he was a shitbag and they got rid of him?
Relatively new. He hadn't been. Now, Auburn is again up Interstate 80. It's about at the 1,500-foot level above Sacramento, starting to go into the foothills. And it's a small, at the time, it would have been a very small jurisdiction. Well, it turns out that he was fired in 1979 for shoplifting.
Okay. See, that's what I hate that. I hate that these news stories are like, and he was a former cop.
They're ascribing the cop to him. He did not have tenure on the department.
Yeah.
It wasn't like he was a 5 or a 10 or a 15-year veteran. It was nothing like that.
They realized he was a piece of shit early on, it sounds like.
And they did their job.
And they did their job and got rid of him.
And he revealed, basically...
fake news.
He revealed what he really was. However,
does that not piss you off?
Oh, yes, of course it does. But by dint of doing that, though, one of the theories that many people I can remember back in '76 when I was doing this, let me be clear. I was not directly involved in the case. I was not doing the investigation. I was just in patrol. Okay, and then what they would do is they'd suck people out of patrol and put them in an unmarked, and you got a particular area, a point to sit for quite a while, and then that was part of the EAR detail, the East Area Rapist detail. So I was not privy to all sorts of the clues and the details of the information at that time. So, however, what people were saying, and wondering, I should say, at the time, is... because he's so elusive and we haven't caught him, does he have some kind of a military or a law enforcement background? People were wondering, but we were left out in the cold. He was providing no clues. Well, now we have a fairly decent idea why. Mm-hmm. Because he had a cop's background. He evidently passed a background in Auburn with the ability to get in and have certain information. So the rapes were occurring in 1976. He got released, kicked out of Auburn PD in 1979. So that could be nothing more than just an attempt to get on the inside and begin to understand what was really happening with the case, because people share information all over the place. You know, a perfect example of this was I worked for a coastal sheriff's department for a while. And we would go drinking across the street at a place called the Jury Room. This was also in the 70s. And all the cops at the end of their various shifts would go to the jury room and knock a few back. And if anyone remembers Edmund Kemper, a serial killer, Edmund Kemper was a friend of a lot of city officers and some county sheriffs who would go drinking. They became his buddy. Edmund Kemper was
and they'd talk about the case, right?
They would talk about the case. Edmund Kemper was the guy that ended up killing his mom. His mom abused him terribly. He was fucking huge. He was about 6'8" or 6'9", but became a friend of cops, and they would sit, drink, talk to him about everything. But he was attempting, just like I think this guy was attempting, to insinuate himself into the case to find out what was going on. Mm-hmm. And so it makes perfect sense now that this guy, I don't think, had any intention whatsoever of being a cop or any kind of a good cop, etc. He was just trying to discover whatever it was that he could about the various cases.
And not only that, but and methodologies, right?
And methodologies. How do cops investigate? What do they do to get from point A to point B? Mm-hmm. And now we have this information that comes out. Anyway, he was behind at least 45 rapes, 12 murders in California in the 1970s.
I thought it was 50-plus rapes.
Now I'm looking at the article, and it says 45 rapes and 12 murders in California in the 70s and 80s. He was arrested. This is the creepy part. Initially, the rapes in Sacramento County started in the east area of the county, which is Citrus Heights. And so it turns out he was arrested in his home early this morning in Citrus Heights.
I didn't see what his bail is. Did you see what his bail is?
Well, it's a no bail.
It is no bail.
Yeah.
And it's he's being held at 2 counts of murder from Ventura?
I think it started in Ventura and then ventured up here. He was called around here. He was called the East Area Rapist. He also got known as the Golden State Killer, the Diamond Knot Killer. I don't know why, but I suspect that's from a number of cases down in Southern California, and the original Night Stalker. So he just a really strange cat when I start to tell you about some of the things that people were saying about him when they knew him as a neighbor in Citrus Heights. He was born in Bath, New York, and he graduated from Folsom High School. Now, Folsom is a suburb of Sacramento County, and at the time, Folsom was a pretty small city. It's grown quite a bit these days. It's off of Highway 50, but it's east of Sacramento off of Highway 50. So he graduated from Folsom High School in 1964. Well, Folsom would have been really small in 1964.
They had a prison.
Yeah, they had a prison. That's very true. He enlisted in the Navy. He fought in Vietnam. He returned from the war. He got an associate's degree in police science from Sierra College and a bachelor's degree in criminal justice with a focus on criminal law from Sac State. That's where I went to college. He interned with the Roseville Police Department for a short period of time before he moved south. And Roseville is off Interstate 80. It's as you're going east out of Sacramento. It's a bedroom community off from Sacramento. It's in an entirely different county. It's in Placer County. So he interned there for a while. He lived in a place that experienced a notorious crime. He worked... Okay, here we go. Here's the linkage that I was trying to find out. I'm glad I read the article. Like I say, if you want to go there and read it, you can go to sacb.com. There's a ton of articles about him right now because of the notoriety.
I'd go to other places because SACB
is way left-leaning.
Yeah.
He worked as a police officer in Exeter, a city about 10 miles from Visalia, from 1973 to 1976. I had heard
this
that
is
he
the
was
east. This is the East Area Rapist.
This is the same guy, the East Area Rapist. So now knowing that, so he's been inculcated in the police environment. He has a much better idea of how crimes are investigated because when he went to the academy, he was taught how to conduct rape investigations, homicide investigations, and so now he possesses insight as to how to, if he wants to, evade crimes because he knows how the forensics work and he experienced being in an academy. He was there in Exeter from 1973 to 1976. Now, the rapes began in 1976. Current Sacramento County Sheriff Scott Jones was saying that. In 1974 and 1975, the Visalia ransacker burglarized more than 85 homes and killed a College of the Sequoias journalism professor. And many people believe the Visalia ransacker and the East Area rapist are the same person. And Sheriff Jones noted that D'Angelo served as a police officer in Exeter during that self-same 2-year period. Which, now that we're getting all the information coming in, this is enough to really freeze you and when you background people, you do it as best you can. Backgrounding now for police officers is a lot different than it was in the 70s.
Well, the technology and information sharing makes it so much easier.
Sure. When you do CVSAs, you do background checks, etc. He worked in law enforcement in Auburn. Now, after leaving Exeter, D'Angelo became an officer with the Auburn Police Department. That's the Foothill Police Department that I told you about, up Interstate 80 at about the 1,500 feet level. In 1976, where he's believed to commit his first rape in 1976, and then he was terminated in 1979. So, okay, now we know he has a history of being a police officer. For Exeter and also for the Auburn Police Department. So he was charged for shoplifting a hammer and a can of dog repellent from a Citrus Heights drugstore, and he chose to forfeit his job rather than answer the city's questions or request an admin hearing, according to the Auburn Journal article.
That's interesting.
So that's clear. That's obvious because rather than have them delve into his background and have to answer questions as to how, when, where, etc., he chose to simply abandon that job, which is a very serious decision that he made because he now cuts links that he once had ties with some insight in terms of law enforcement. And a can of dog repellent? Wouldn't you suspect that having a can of dog repellent while you're creeping around people's yards and whatnot, wouldn't that be an exquisite thing to have? I would submit that it certainly makes a lot of sense. He was married. He had kids. Can you imagine
Is he still married?
What you can imagine what his wife and kids might have thought? He wed Sharon Marie Huddle of Citrus Heights at the Auburn First Congregational Church in fall of 1973, according to a wedding announcement in the Sacramento Bee. The two later divorced. He lived with a daughter and a granddaughter until his arrest today. Some of the family members have been interviewed by law enforcement. So that's a little bit of the background of this guy.
So this case is 40-ish years old, right? There was a book that came out, though.
And I was just getting to that, and I think I can do that in about the remaining 5 minutes that we have left here. And again, as I told you before we started the show, this is just the confluence of events and people involved in this are kind of bizarre. Now, there was a woman who was an author named Michelle McNamara, and she was credited for her role in the capture of what we called here the East Area Rapist, what other agencies called the Golden State Killer. And this particular author was married to Patton Oswalt, the comedian. So for those of you who know Patton Oswalt, the woman who authored pretty much the prototypical book about the East Area Rapist or the Golden State Killer was this woman named Michelle McNamara. She was a late true crime author, and she posthumously released the book I'll Be Gone in the Dark. So they arrested James D'Angelo today, who was 72, and she wrote a book. She is the late, and again this gets bizarre, the late wife of comedian Patton Oswalt. She was working on her book about that specific case when here it says she died suddenly in 2016. But I've been looking, I can find no other attributions as to the circumstances around her death. That, to me, leaves a lot of questions that I haven't found answers for. Her book was completed with the help of her husband, Patton Oswalt, and independent journalist and researcher Billy Jensen, and it was released this past February. So I'm sure that she's going to get a lot of people looking for this book.
And what's interesting is the sheriff spoke today, and the DA said that she's going to be seeking the death penalty.
Yep,
excellent here in this case.
Excellent.
Absolutely. But they're kind of dancing around the whole issue about how they got the DNA matches.
Right.
I mean, they're really kind of.
Well, you can see how they got the DNA matches from evidence of the crime.
But here's the thing.
And down in Southern California.
You have to have a sample to compare it to.
That's correct.
Because you can have suspect DNA and it could come back to a male whatever, but unless you have a sample on file to compare it to a specific person, all you're going to have is an unknown whatever that DNA profile is.
Right. You can have DNA evidence from the East Area rape stuff.
Yes.
And you can have DNA evidence from whatever it was that occurred down in Southern California.
And you can link and say it's the same suspect.
And you can say it's the same suspect.
But not who.
But now you have to be able to somehow make that linkage further
exactly
to this guy.
Suspect. So you have to have known DNA sample from your suspect.
Yep.
And compare that, and that has to be a match. And so, hey, if somebody's incarcerated for a felony or something like that, and they get a DNA swab, boom, that DNA gets uploaded to a database, and it's already in there, and you're identified. Well, that wasn't the case with this guy.
Well, and
as far as I know,
during the announcement, when Sheriff Jones made his announcement today, I happened to hear just a little bit of it. Mm-hmm. He was quite clear that it was the result of DNA evidence.
Yes.
But he was extremely cagey, and I can understand why, about the source of the evidence to that specific suspect.
Yes.
We may learn about it in the trial. It's going to be a while before he goes to trial, I'm sure, because of all the motions that are going to be made, and I'm certain there are going to be quite a number of those from whomever it is, because it's so early. He just got arrested today.
And he's on suicide watch.
And, the dude is 72, so he may not be in the best of health in the first place, and once he eats the jail food, that'll go down too. In any event, so it's very early in the case, but this author, McNamara, is being credited as one of the driving forces behind getting people interested in the case. And so she's being given credit for that. But I find those two elements very intriguing, that she's married to that comedian, Patton Oswalt, and she dies at the age of 47 in 2016.
I have to wonder if he was being looked at for another crime. Because think about it, this guy's been around for 40 some odd years, and his last crime they believe was attributed to him was in 86. Bullshit. Predators don't just stop.
Well, no, they stop. In terms of regular predators, they stop when they're imprisoned, they're put into jail, they're on parole. They themselves get killed. They move out of state, et cetera.
That wasn't the case here.
But I don't see.
Far as I know, right?
Yeah,
I don't know if he moved and then came back. But no, because he lived in that house since the 80s. It said.
So I don't see any information.
So
what was the predicating? That was an excellent question, Clint. What was the predicating event that either A, made him stop, or B, they just haven't found out yet what he's been doing and to whom for all that time?
Yes.
And, of course, the family, ex-wife, etc., are going to be interviewed. All the ex-neighbors,
of course,
and the current neighbors were saying that he was a weird dude that in the process of, say, mowing his lawn or something like that, or being outside doing yard work, would yell and curse. There were people in the neighborhood who had problems with him, and then in retrospect, can you imagine being a neighbor of this guy, and maybe you went off on this guy and said, you blah, 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 you fucking piece of shit, stop yelling at me. Now knowing full well, this is the East Area Rapist. Did this guy have a gun?
And a serial killer.
And a serial killer. And what would have stopped him from walking next door to my house and killing everybody in my house, including my wife, my daughters, my son, etc.? There are a lot of people tonight with puckered sphincters in Citrus Heights. I'll wager that.
Oh, yeah, guaranteed.
Holy moly. Anyway, a new and unique case. We will be keeping on top of that. It's time for it's past time for the top of the hour break. And we're going to come right back. And we're going to actually get into some politics. I promise. Folks,
maybe.
Don't go away. You're listening to Sackheads Against Tyranny. It's the Shat Show.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Hey, it's Sean from the Sackheads Radio Show. Also one of the owners here at the SHR Media Network. Are you opinionated? Have you ever wanted to do your own show? Have you ever heard somebody like the Sackheads and go, yeah, I could probably do that better? Well, now's your chance. Send me a 5-minute clip at sackheadsradio@gmail.com, and maybe you can be part of the SHR broadcasting team. sackheadsradio@gmail.com.
Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, a mere 2 miles from the state capital, the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon Radio Show can be heard every Tuesday and Thursday night at 8 p.m. Pacific and 11 p.m. Eastern, only on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com to listen. You can also watch on the SHR Media Facebook page and the SHR Media YouTube channel. No goldfish were abused in the making of this ad.
When dirty politicians, shadow governments, and deceptive Islam blind the world with fake stream media smoke, their only fear is one man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me through shrmedia.com, highplainstalkradio.com, and the Western Free Radio Network at Spreaker, YouTube, and iTunes for a different perspective weekly on the Unpleasant Blind Guy. And catch me on Jeff Mitchell's EDL Radio on blogtalkradio.com. There's
no surrender ever.
Because truth is not always pleasant.
Hey guys, it's Sackhead Clint. I'm excited to tell you about a brand new show here on the SHR Media Network. I'm teaming up with the one and only all-powerful, the bloviating Zeppelin, sitting here to my left, bringing to you a fresh new show here on the network. It's Against Tyranny, and we'll be picking up where the Sackheads left off. Excited to be with you, sir.
Sackheads Against Tyranny.
We're going to chat. We're going to chat Wednesday nights.
SHAT.
Sackheads Against Tyranny.
Wednesday night, 11 p.m. Oh, it's the same time, right? 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific.
Same SAC time, same SAC channel.
Yeah. SHRmedia.com.
See what I did there?
It's your business diva here, Melanie Collette. I am inviting you to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance with today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the future. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can't afford to miss it.
Human by race, Christian by faith, American by nationality, and conservative by choice. Reverend Ralph J. Chittum Sr. is the right guy on SHR Media from 8:05 to 9 p.m. Monday through Friday. And if on the rare occasion I am ever wrong, I will still always be right. The right guy on SHR Media.
Hey, this is Michael Wright.
And I'm Shannon Wright.
Join us for The Right Way with Shannon and Mike, Monday through Thursday from 7 to 9 a.m. right here on SHR Media.
Why are they joining us?
For fun things like sports, politics.
Oh, maybe some news and entertainment?
And all kinds of other things.
Money and recipes and events, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so join us Monday through Thursday, 7 to 9 a.m. here on shrmedia.com.
Hey, BZ. So the plan's working. You got rid of Sacco. Sean is now stepping away.
I never even saw him.
And I know, and insidious. You know, we talked about this for for the last 3 years, and finally coming to fruition.
You know I'm still in the room, right?
It's almost like he's here still. Did you hear that?
Yeah, it's kind of.
It's amazing. It's kind of
at you.
It's kind of eerie.
Kind of poltergeist.
Like a poltergeisty thing.
Yeah, Sackheads Against Tyranny.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Wow, did the first hour go like that, or what?
It did, but the last 5 minutes just droned on and on.
Because we said, okay, when we come back, do we want to go right to North Korea, or do we want to continue with what we were talking about at the break? And I'd like to go back to what we were talking about just before the break, which was, and it was the question that you had asked, which was, these guys don't just stop doing their shit for some reason. Mm-hmm. There has to be a reason that he stopped. Either he continued doing something else
in an area,
either in Sacramento or maybe Northern California. And then you brought up another excellent point: is okay, we know the FBI were there today.
Yep.
Why were the FBI there? Because they essentially only get interested if there's something that occurred across state lines. Did this guy go into Nevada, for example, and do something over there? You know, maybe, I don't know. Maybe they decided they were going to use the FBI's ERT, which is the evidence response team, because they wanted to make sure that they collected everything, which is kind of a slap in the face to the Sacramento County Sheriff's Department.
I don't think so. I don't think Sheriff Jones is that way.
So maybe they were involved in the collection of evidence, or maybe the local FBI said, "Hey, if you want, we'll help you and we'll provide you with this extra extra equipment, extra people, extra time, etc. That could have occurred. But you asked the question is, what's this guy been doing, and where's he been?
Yeah. Look, it's. I find it very difficult to believe that this guy has been, from any report so far, and I will be the first one to admit that I do not know the whole story. I don't think anybody talking about this story, obviously, knows the whole story or even probably a majority of the story. So that being said, I don't have any information that this guy was in prison. I don't have any information that this guy has been anywhere or anything that would stop him from engaging in that behavior.
Right.
Either rape or homicide. So even in case of rape, I would even say, I mean, this is we're in the 21st century. A man could have it not working anymore, and there's prescription drugs that you can get out there and things that you can get to still make it work if you're going to carry that out, right? And rape's not a sexual crime anyways. I mean, it's a sex offense, but it's a power. It's a power thing, right? Just like arson is a sex crime.
Yes,
most people don't realize that.
Yep.
So it's not like he just couldn't get it up anymore, so he didn't rape, right? There's other ways to dominate women. There's other ways to dominate the victims. There's other ways that that urge would have had to have been fed. And same with the homicide. I mean, I have no idea what the motivations for his homicides were, whether he's just fucking nuts or evil. But I absolutely do not believe that from 1986 or whenever the last crime was.
Yeah, that he was Mr. Ideal Citizen.
Absolutely. That's bullshit.
With regular criminals, you and I both know that if you see a period of time in which they're not active, they're either in prison, they're in a jail, or they're on parole and they're being actively monitored.
Or they're dead.
Or they're dead.
And how many active monitor ones still go out and reoffend?
Exactly. A whole bunch of them do. So then...
not in California, though, because we rehabilitate here.
Right, and we're so effective at that.
Very effective.
We do that
so
incredibly well.
So effective.
So if he stopped, it's an if-then equation. If he stopped, why did he stop? And I don't believe, both you and I think that he was probably doing something else. And if he stopped, what was the motivating factor for him deciding, I think it's time for me to quit now? Because it would... What you have to understand about crimes of sex and crimes of homicide, and especially sex crimes, pedophilia involving men, is that the mind is the massive driver behind it all. It's all about a fantasy life in their head. And the fantasy builds and builds and builds. It's like being an alcoholic or a drug addict. You can start doing dope. You can start to do maybe oxy floats your boat for a while. But after a while, you may decide that I need to move on. I need to move up. Well, this guy started it as a rapist, and then he transformed into a serial killer. And the reason is because the last thing wasn't enough in his mind of fantasy, because that's what drives these guys, is the fantasy life. And that's another reason that they keep trophies, which is another reason I'd like to go into his home, turn it upside down, find all the places that he has any storage units. Did this guy keep trophies?
Oh, he did. He'd take little trinkets from all of the houses. So something very insignificant.
So this guy...
he did. These
people
trophies.
Keep their shit. They keep their trophies. The other thing is that we found out, because we put all this thing together, is one of... How'd you like to be this? How'd you like to be the woman that was the subject of this? One of his victims in his rape, 20 years later, he finds her, he calls her on the telephone and talks to her. And she knows who he is. That's how ingrained all of this is into his brain. He's not forgetting this. This is always in his ticker. It's always in his wheelhouse. It's driving him. So there had to be something really big.
He called
a victim.
After 86?
He called a victim.
Well, when?
I read it in one of the
Like
stories.
late 90s?
I'm not sure.
I didn't read that.
It might have been in the late 90s, but he calls one of his victims 20 years later, probably just to get in her head again.
So he has to go find her, right? Now now he's finding her. He's doing
that's a lot of work.
That is a ton of work. So he didn't. That just goes to my point,
yes,
right?
Because this guy never stops.
If he stops, then he never gets discovered, right?
Right.
If he stops, he becomes a model citizen. His DNA never ends up in the system. He never gets arrested. He goes on living his life. The only DNA they have is from unknown male suspect with this profile, and he dies and rides off into the sunset. Period. I mean, that's the end of the story.
Yep.
He's in custody. So obviously that's not the end of the story. Obviously he didn't just stop. There was obviously he contacted, according to a story that you're reading, he contacted the victim 20 years later. So was there another contact? Was there something else? Was there another victim that they're not saying was tied?
Simone in chat says maybe he got too fat to go through the window. Okay. Not bad, though.
Not bad at all. Yeah, no. His arthritis, he can't lift his leg to get
Well, he's 72, for God's sake.
Yeah. But murder. Hey,
and
you still engage in murder.
When you reach that level of you're now a serial killer, that's your plateau. What can you do beyond murder?
Get away with it.
Except to continue
You continue and you get away with it. Right? Because that's the rush.
You still have to satisfy that fantasy in your mind.
Yes, but some of it is still also about the power and being smarter than those who are looking for you,
and
right?
having escaped it for so many years.
Yes, look at Zodiac. He taunted. How many times did he taunt the San Francisco Police Department?
Oh, not just San Francisco. Any
cop.
Concord.
Taunted
Vallejo,
the cops and the San Francisco Chronicle.
Dave Toschi,
right?
you name it. The San Francisco Examiner, all of that.
So I want to move on.
This is going to end up being another fascinating case. Similar.
Oh, they're making a movie. This is going to be a movie.
Oh, hell yeah! This is going to be a fascinating case, and it's going to be similar to the Zodiac, because just as you rightly point out, there is so much more that is unknown. That when it gets revealed, I think there are going to be even more people clutching their pearls, and their sphincters are going to be watertight when they find out how closely associated they may have been to this particular guy.
Oh, absolutely. You know, I got an alternate ending for you. Here's a twist in my movie.
Okay.
If I'm writing this.
Okay.
He's also the Zodiac killer. He started really young.
Wow. Okay. You know, the funny thing is, if people are listening to this, there's somebody down in Hollywood right now going, I'm going to steal Sackhead Clint. That's some really cool shit. I'm going to do that right now. Hey, that's going to be, oh, thanks, Clint.
It's quick, date and timestamp this. Episode 3.
That's right.
Third segment. So I want to get into North Korea real quick. Little Kim, shifting gears here from the local stories, which we usually don't cover, but this is a serial killer that was known nationally, so that's worth covering. But I want to shift gears here to the international stage and talk about how quiet Little Kim has been. Little Kim has been so quiet.
I have a theory, but I want to hear what you think first.
So quiet. Well, first I want to say that he hasn't launched any shit.
Bingo. Exactly. There have been no nuke tests.
Nope. No
there have
launches,
been no missile tests.
Nothing.
He hasn't thrown anything over the Japanese islands. He hasn't sent anything west.
He hasn't killed any high generals.
Yep.
That I don't think, right? No uncles or cousins or anything have been killed that I know about. But there was an announcement last Friday. North Korea announced, and I think it was Kim Jong-un who announced that North Korea is suspending its missile testing, and they're closing the nuclear test site.
And we discussed this a little bit, just a bit last week. Do we believe him?
Well, he didn't close it. Friday the announcement came, so we were already our show was 2 days past. But we did talk about North Korea potentially making some moves, right?
Yep.
And do we trust them and do
Yep.
and these other things?
And what's our response?
Fuck him.
Well, yeah, and we batted back and forth to each
Yes.
other. Okay, if you're president, what are you going to do? Okay, I do this. What are you going to do? Why I do this?
I do this.
So we
But here's the interesting thing though. He obviously listens to our show.
Yes.
Because this
Probably
came about
in
2 days.
podcast.
This came about 2 days later. No,
Yeah.
he listens live.
Do you think he goes
Absolutely.
live? Well, okay, but he doesn't register for chat. He may be listening live.
Guest.
But maybe. Wait a minute. Is he 5184?
Yes.
I was wondering, is he the incredible 5184? Was that Kim Jong-un?
Potentially.
Holy.
So they came out and they said, "Hey, yeah, we're suspending this. We're stopping." And this is interesting because this is ahead of talks. This comes as North Korea and the United States is preparing to meet. Right, this comes among discussions now about a potential peace, cessation of war between North Korea and South Korea.
Yeah, 60 years of that.
Yeah, and this comes after Donald Trump says, "Hey, if the talks don't go the way I want them to go, I'll walk out.
I'm out of here.
I'll leave." So, what does this say to you?
Here was I cogitated about this over the past weekend after you and I had our discussion, and what I'm thinking is that, and I don't remember if I brought this up last week, but we remember briefly there was that little green armored train ride that Kim Jong-un
We talked about it last week.
took
to China.
And
Yep.
Xi Jinping had a sit down with him, and I'm really curious what he said behind closed doors, because after that, which was last month in March, we didn't see or hear much of him at all. So what is Xi saying? What's the point? Did he say something similar to Kim Jong-un, like, you know what, your bullshit is starting to wear on me, and I have a grand scheme that I may I may tell you about, but probably not.
Mm-hmm.
Let me throw this out there to you as a tinfoil hat wearer. I don't know how, I don't know in what fashion, and we know that China does not want a unified North Korea and South Korea unless it works to his favor. But we also know that the South Korean presidents, because the other one just got ripped out for corruption, but the South Korean presidents are not completely 100% pro the United States. In other words, the THAAD missile system, instead of being able to put in 5 or 6 units of the THAAD, the South Korean president at the time said, no, only one. So that leads me to believe that the South Korean president is a little limp-wristed on the whole North-South thing, and it may be because he's got the devil living on his ceiling, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's why. But it also made me wonder, is the ultimate goal of this for Xi Jinping to somehow attempt to, like the Borg, assimilate in some fashion South Korea, maybe not a real connection between North Korea and South Korea, but somehow subsume South Korea in not a dissimilar way that Putin did to Ukraine. And to a degree, Estonia.
No,
I'm curious if he's looking at the industrial might
I think
of South Korea, and he wants it.
I think he's looking at building up his country economically like China did. Look at what China's done with Hong Kong. Right, Hong Kong was turned back over to China.
They were smart enough not to fuck with it
and the
too
Chinese
much.
government came out and basically said, "Okay, we'll do this kind of quasi free market thing." Right, and it's been successful for them. And you look at China's economy, and for a communist country, their economy is not horrible, right? Their economy is pretty decent. And you look at North Korea's economy, and their economy is shit. So, there's that famous satellite picture of the lights on the Korean Peninsula where south is just lit up and the north is
damn near
completely dark. So I really think because Kim also said, little Kim also said in his address that basically the nuclear facility has accomplished its mission, which I think he came out and said to his people so he doesn't look weak, right? Because there's been speculation for a while that North Korea is a year away from nuclear weapons or 6 months away or whatever it is. So maybe their mission is complete. I tend to think more that maybe the mission isn't 100% complete, but he's telling his people the mission is complete. That way he can save face.
He's a godhead.
Yep.
They have to believe him.
He can shut down. He can shut down. We don't need to test anymore. We're shutting down our nuclear facility because it has met its goal. And then he comes out and he says he's going to actively engage with neighbors in the area and the international community in order to secure peace in the Korean Peninsula and to, quote, create an optimal international environment upon which to build his economy. So clearly the motivation is economic.
Okay, I was just going to say that. Is that him?
No,
trying to sound like he's making concessions because he's ready to try to do something to his economy.
I think that he is going to do something with his economy because he knows he's in deep shit. And I think the way he's framing it to his people is that I'm so powerful, we have a nuclear program, we're shutting down our nuclear facility because we won, we met our goals, and now because we met our goals and we're a nuclear power, we can deal with them and help grow our economy. That's how I think he's selling it. I think the reality is quite different. I think the reality is he knows he's in deep shit. He knows President Trump doesn't screw around. He's going to shut that shit down because he's in a world of hurt and he needs to retain power. China smacked his little pee-pee, I think, in their little meeting with all the little.
I would love to have heard. What was said.
With all the bullshit, all the bullshit, he's doing this, and so he has to say these things, say these things in order to save face, and that's what I think is really going on.
I would love to have heard what was said. One thing I think you and I both know is that China definitely, and I believe more than we do, because we're psychotic. I mean, we're crazy people. Every 4 years, this country makes almost a 180 every 4 to 8 years. But China plays long ball, and I still think their strategy may be to somehow Taiwan is an issue with China. And I still
the islands, the man-made islands in the South China Sea.
So he's extending his power into the South China Sea very clearly, and no one stopped him.
Well, what are you going to do? The island's already there.
It wasn't up to Trump,
Nope, it was not.
It occurred on the other regime,
President Obama's watch.
So I can't help but think that, because I just have a terribly suspicious mind, that in some fashion I'm wondering if Xi Jinping is looking somehow to involve South Korea, because you have to admit, South Korea is an industrial powerhouse.
Yes.
They are a huge powerhouse. And it would appear their presidents in the past were not really terribly linked to the United States. I can't help but think that somehow we're missing a play here. That Xi Jinping is making a play. He's thinking long ball, and for whatever reason we're not saying it, or we're not seeing it, or maybe we are. We're certainly not privy to all the things that are going on.
Or maybe he
geopolitically,
just doesn't want a batshit crazy nuclear trigger happy crazy man on his frickin' border, and he's telling him to knock that shit off.
Yeah.
In order to stabilize the region.
It could be nothing more. It could be something, I should say, as simple as that.
Yeah.
But these are significant.
Very significant.
And to sit down with President Trump in May, that's going to be theater in and of itself.
Do you know when the last time a North Korean leader has met with a United States president? Because I don't.
my thought would be
I
zero.
don't know if it is if it has ever happened.
None
since the Korean War. I don't know.
And the funny thing is that I find absolutely delicious is how all the leftists, the Democrats, the American media maggots were saying, "Oh, Trump is going to get us into World War III. He's going to involve us in a nuclear conflagration that will erupt all across the entire planet."
You could have a peace signed between North and South Korea for the first time in 50 whatever years, and nobody will still give him credit for it.
And he's sitting down with a guy who has never, ever before, or a regime that has never, ever before sat down with any Western entity, and certainly never to talk about any concessions. This is history making. Would Hillary Clinton have done this or been able to do this? And my answer is no. I don't believe so. Not at all. And yet people are indicating that Donald John Trump, the guy with the dead orange cat on his head, he is Satan incarnate. And yet the shit that he's doing is working. It's working for the economy. It's working on a national level, and it's working on a global level. Emmanuel Macron, the French guy, came over to the United States, and even he said when he sat down, he's willing to perhaps consider a recrafting of the sanctions against Iran instead of completely disassembling the thing, just piecemeal, so to speak. He actually let the camel's nose into the tent just a bit with regard to Iran, but that's a story for another time.
So there were other presidents to get invites from North Korea, but nobody met. And I just did a search on it just because I was curious.
Okay.
But yeah, nobody met. But of course, the article I found is on CNN, and and they said, and the name of the article is "Trump isn't the first U.S. president to get a North Korean invite, but he's the first to accept." And it goes on about how all the other presidents, from Bill Clinton to George W. Bush to Barack Obama, were all so much smarter than Donald Trump,
right? Because
they didn't go meet with the North Korean leader because they all realized that it was probably a trap and they were just going to be used for propaganda.
Well, what that tells me is that they have no confidence in their ability to negotiate.
Yeah, look, either that or...
What can you do when you're at a table? You can always get up and walk away.
Yes.
It is not etched in stone that you must come away with some kind of a contract. You don't have to.
Yeah. I'm okay. I'm okay with Donald Trump going to meet with him, particularly if it's going to potentially...
if it's going to lessen tensions in the area,
yeah,
why not?
Yeah,
you're already at no. Occasionally, you get to yes.
Mm-hmm.
So why stop that? That's the same thing with Putin and Russia.
And maybe if Barack Obama was going to go meet with them, I would say, oh hell no, because I don't trust his ability to. I don't trust his ability to stand firm.
Ask yourself these questions. When Obama negotiated, air quotes, negotiated, what is it that he got for the United States of America? What did he get? What did he get for us?
He got us fucked. That's what he got us.
We gave. What did we receive?
A big penis in our butt.
That's right. That's exactly.
He got us screwed.
That's exactly what we received.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Hey, it's Sean from the Sackheads Radio Show, also one of the owners here at the SHR Media Network. Are you opinionated? Have you ever wanted to do your own show? Have you ever heard somebody like the Sackheads and go, yeah, I could probably do that better? Well, now's your chance. Send me a 5-minute clip at sackheadsradio@gmail.com, and maybe you can be part of the SHR broadcasting team. sackheadsradio@gmail.com.
Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, a mere 2 miles from the state capital, the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show can be heard every Tuesday and Thursday night at 8 p.m. Pacific and 11 p.m. Eastern, only on the SHR Media Network. Go to shrmedia.com to listen. You can also watch on the SHR Media Facebook page and the SHR Media YouTube channel. No goldfish were abused in the making of this ad.
When dirty politicians, shadow governments, and deceptive Islam blind the world with fake stream media smoke, their only fear is one man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me through shrmedia.com, highplanestalkradio.com, and the Western Free Radio Network at Spreaker, YouTube, and iTunes for a different perspective weekly on the Unpleasant Blind Guy. And catch me on Jeff Mitchell's EDL Radio on blogtalkradio.com. There's
no surrender ever.
Because truth is not always pleasant.
Hey guys, it's Sackhead Clint. I'm excited to tell you about a brand new show here on the SHR Media Network. I'm teaming up with the one and only all-powerful, the bloviating Zeppelin, sitting here to my left, bringing to you a fresh new show here on the network. It's Against Tyranny. And we'll be picking up where the Sackheads left off. Excited to be with you, sir.
Sackheads Against Tyranny.
We're going to chat. We're going to chat Wednesday nights.
S-H-A-T.
Sackheads Against Tyranny.
Wednesday night, 11 p.m. Oh, it's the same time, right? 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific.
Same SAC time, same SAC channel.
Yeah. SHRmedia.com.
See what I did there?
It's your business diva here, Melanie Collette. I am inviting you to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance with today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the future. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can't afford to miss it.
Human by race, Christian by faith, American by nationality, and conservative by choice. Reverend Ralph J. Chittum Sr. is the right guy on SHR Media from 8:05 to 9 p.m. Monday through Friday. And if on the rare occasion I am ever wrong, I will still always be right. The right guy on SHR Media.
Hey, this is Michael Wright.
And I'm Shannon Wright.
Join us for The Right Way with Shannon and Mike, Monday through Thursday from 7 to 9 a.m. right here on SHR Media.
Why are they joining us?
For fun things like sports, politics.
Oh, maybe some news and entertainment?
And all kinds of other things.
Money and recipes and events, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so join us Monday through Thursday, 7 to 9 a.m. here on shrmedia.com.
Hey, BZ. So the plan's working. You got rid of Sacco. Sean is now stepping away.
I never even saw him.
And I know, and insidious. You know, we talked about this for for the last 3 years, and finally coming to fruition.
You know I'm still in the room, right?
It's almost like he's here still. Did you hear that?
Yeah, it's kind of.
It's amazing. It's kind of
at you.
It's kind of eerie.
Kind of a poltergeist.
Like a poltergeisty thing.
Yeah, Sackheads Against Tyranny.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to the final segment of Sackheads Against Tyranny on your standard Wednesday night show with Sackheads Clint and Sackheads BZ. It's April 25th, year of our Lord 2018. And holy moly, Clint, the month is almost gone. It's like April came and zipped out because next week, let's see, I don't have my calendar next week. Oh my God, May. Oh, this weekend. I don't know if you're going to go or not. I don't know if you go see movies. I want to see Infinity War.
Is that out this weekend?
It's out this weekend. It's out Friday.
It's
out Friday.
I haven't even. I don't know if I'll go on the weekend because it's going to be crazy busy. But I haven't even seen Black Panther yet.
Black Panther is overrated. It's good, but it's not fabulous.
I have to see it because that's the next one in
Right.
line. Like
But-
I'm up to speed on the whole.
But you should
Marvel Cinematic Universe.
If you're a Marvel Universe guy, then
Which I am.
You got to be good. Here's something funny that a lot of people don't realize. Have you seen any of the Deadpool ads? If you've gone to a movie, folks, have you seen any of the Deadpool
I
ads?
have. I've pulled it up on YouTube. Yeah.
Okay, so there are a couple of interesting points in there. Did you catch the part in one of the trailers? I don't know if you know it or not, but Josh Brolin plays Thanos in Infinity War. He's the big, huge alien guy, the sort of the ultimate alien dude, and it's played by Josh Brolin. Now, in Deadpool, the movie that's coming out, Josh Brolin also plays Cable. In one of the in one of the trailers for Deadpool, as an aside, you can hear Ryan Reynolds say something similar to, and you hear about that Josh Brolin? He plays both. How does he get to play both Cable and Thanos? How does that happen? And it's pretty interesting.
Huh.
And Deadpool, was that one of your favorite Marvel movies?
I love it, but I like so Deadpool kind of goes into the X-Men side, and
Yes,
one thing
it
I've
did.
noticed that the X-Men side of the Marvel series doesn't really cross over with the Avenger side.
No,
at least
it hasn't been doing much.
At least
Yep.
it hasn't. So the Infinity Wars, you have Guardians of the Galaxy and Iron Man, Captain America, and all of those folks. The X-Men, Wolverine and all those that hasn't crossed over, and I don't think it will. Those are more adult theme. I mean, you had a rated R Marvel movie. The original Deadpool was pretty good.
The original Deadpool. If that wasn't R, I don't know what is.
Yeah.
Holy crap. Talk about a character who is irreverent.
Yes.
And let me ask you this. If you thought of an actor that you were going to cast as Deadpool, do you think that,
No.
the last guy that you ever thought would be a good Deadpool would be Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah,
I never would have
He was a
picked
good
him.
Green Lantern.
Yeah. Yeah.
But he was great.
But that's another thing. I'm sorry.
I thought he was great in the role.
Yeah, here's another
Do you
point.
disagree?
That in one of the trailers, Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool says something similar to, and at least I don't have to wear a green costume that's CG. So listen for that in one of the trailers as well, because I found that very interesting.
Yeah, that's funny. I like the character.
Oh, Ryan Reynolds.
I like the character he plays.
He's a great. I didn't see that one coming at all.
No. Now, did you ever go and check out? The Keanu Reeves? Movies like we talked about last week.
Yes, I did. You had mentioned that Keanu Reeves has a video.
I showed you on the break.
Yeah, where he's training for the movie John Wick 2, and he's moving. He's what they call running and gunning.
He's a 3-gun shooter,
and
it's a 3-gun competition that he was
and
shooting.
he's got a long gun slung. He's got a handgun, and his manipulation skills are great. I mean, this guy clearly was training, and he's training well. Now, what kind of hits he's making downrange?
Oh no, he's
know.
getting the hits. If you watch the video and you listen to the shots, you can hear the steel. You can hear the hits. So he's hitting.
Man, he looked like any other good professional that you would see at a range similar to that. His performance was extraordinary.
Yeah, and I would even argue that he is really, really good. Like he would, yeah. I mean that looks like that 3-gun. I don't know if it was a full competition. He was training for a competition or just the movie. He's obviously a shooter,
right?
You don't just come in cold and have that level of skill, because that's at a pretty high skill level. He's pretty impressive. But I want to get into McCabe. Here we only have like 19 minutes left in the show, and I want to get into McCabe.
Can I summarize up McCabe?
Yeah, this is your segment.
In one word.
This is your segment. I'm looking at the board of topics, which we still have, and that's your segment.
In one word, McCabe is fucked. If there's...
You think so?
Yes. If there's anyone...
So for those that don't know, there was a referral.
Yes.
Go ahead. Sorry, BZ.
No. Go ahead. You started it because I'm going to throw in another story here.
Yeah, there was a referral that criminal charges be filed, and it was from the was it from the AG's office?
IG, I think.
The Inspector
from
General's
the IG.
office. They're overseeing, right?
Right.
That is recommending criminal law violations, criminal charges be filed against McCabe.
Not just sanctions.
Yes. So this referral went to the federal prosecutor's office for charges to be filed. And there hasn't been any announcement yet on whether they're going to do that or not. But that's a big deal. And look, I remember there were. Do you remember when McCabe got fired and people were up in arms? Right?
Oh yeah.
Oh, it's
you can't
political.
fire
You
him.
can't
It's
fire
all
him.
political.
We'll give you another job at my office so you can get your retirement.
That's
Remember
right.
some of those jackass congressmen?
You bet.
Hey, fuckheads! Guess what? Now it turns out that an independent, and I think the IG who was doing it was a fucking Obama appointee.
It's Michael Horowitz, who is the IG, who was doing the investigation, and you are completely correct. So people that were saying that it's political, the Inspector General is about as apolitical as I think you're going to get in D.C., which is not perfect, but he's the least politically associated with
and
that.
He's a fucking Obama appointee.
And it was the IG, after having submitted his report to the FBI, it was then after that the FBI's OPR, which is the Office of Professional Responsibility, only after having seen Horowitz's Inspector General report did they say, okay, we recommend termination. So it didn't come out of the blue, and it didn't come on the heels of incredible red right-leaning politics. It came out of the Inspector General's office.
Yeah. And not a phone call from the president.
No.
Right? So how fucked is McCabe?
I'm going to suggest even more.
Are they going to file?
I think there may actually be a filing, and I'm going to make this prognostication as well.
Nice word.
It won't be the first. This will be the first in a series that will become a continuing series of filings.
Is Comey fucked?
I think Comey has stepped into it bigly.
With his book?
I'm going to talk. Yeah. Comey doesn't know about the rule of holes, and Comey doesn't know when to take large, massive mugs, steaming mugs of shut the fuck up. Now, as I said last week, it's a pity party. The Comey book tour is a pity party. He's using that for therapy to make him feel good, and in that fashion, he's just like Hillary Clinton. That book tour for her is another pity party, so they have that in common. And, of course, Comey made, I forget, either $1.2 or $1.7 million off of this, so he's got his money up front. But
too bad it's all going to go to legal fees.
There's more that happened today with Comey and attorneys. OMG. I'm going to get to that tomorrow.
Oh, no bullshit. We're talking about this right now.
No, but I'm going to talk about McCabe right now because here's something that
it ties in, BZ.
There's a lot of things that people don't know about McCabe. I continuously say this to everybody that listens to me until I'm blue in the face. If you want to find out a lot about what's going on and you want to read someone who's a real honest-to-God investigative reporter, go to Sarah, S-A-R-A-H-A, Carter, all one word, SarahACarter.com. She is an incredible investigating reporter. She came out with an article one day ago, and the headline was, did McCabe, and think of the possibilities if this is true, because she has people telling her it is, did McCabe issue the stand-down order on the FBI Clinton email investigation? The subheadline of that is a quote from one of her sources, which says, McCabe tried to steer people off the private email investigation. Now, for those of you who may not be familiar, Andrew McCabe, until he got fired, was the assistant director,
number 2 of the agency,
for the Federal Bureau of Investigation. He is a Democrat. He is a left-leaning Democrat. His wife, I can't remember her first name, but she was running for Senate in Virginia and was the recipient of $750,000 from the DNC. And she's a great friend of Hillary Clinton and Virginia's governor, Terry McAuliffe. And he stated that because he was doing the investigation at the time, Andrew McCabe was in charge of the Hillary Clinton email investigation, which is why this is imperative. This is pertinent. This goes directly to McCabe and the investigation. But while his wife is clearly linked to the Democrats and the DNC and Hillary Clinton, he's ostensibly in charge of the Hillary Clinton email investigation. Now, he found himself and stated there is no conflict with this and my wife. James Comey, another reason that I believe he's as corrupt as the day is long, buttressed his number 2 and said, yes, I find there is no conflict of interest whatsoever. Then this story emerges. Former FBI Deputy Director Andrew McCabe is now facing possible criminal charges for lying under oath about leaks he made to the Wall Street Journal in 2016 in an effort to salvage his reputation and to give his account to journalists who were questioning whether he gave a stand-down order to FBI agents investigating the Clinton Foundation. This is the interesting part. According to Sarah Carter, multiple former FBI officials, along with a congressional official, say that while there may have been internal squabbling over the FBI's investigation into the Hillary Clinton Foundation at the time, there was allegedly another stand-down order by McCabe regarding the opening of the investigation into Hillary Clinton's use of her private email for official government business. And there are some quotes in this article. I'm going to go down a couple of paragraphs. This is a quote. McCabe tried to steer people off the private email investigation, and that appears to be obstruction and should be investigated, said one former FBI official with knowledge of the circumstances surrounding the investigation. Another quote. Now, if the investigation on the stand-down order is obtained by the IG, the Inspector General, that could bring a whole lot of other trouble to McCabe.
Well, you know what else I find interesting is you mentioned Comey a few times in here. Comey said in an interview, and I think it was an interview to CNN, I'm guessing it's an interview to CNN, but he said in an interview that, he may be called to testify as a witness against McCabe, and that although he liked McCabe as a person, sometimes good people do bad things.
Oh, I remember that.
He's basically saying, I think he probably did some illegal shit, and I was a witness to it.
Yeah, and if he gets thrown under the bus for doing bad stuff, nothing that I would do because I am saintly. I am the 6'8" saintly James Comey.
But here's the thing. If you're the head of the agency and you were a witness to bad or illegal behavior and you did nothing, is there a federal statute for accessory or for being complicit or for...
Like we know in California,
there is, right?
There are certain people whom, when they come across crimes, they're called mandated reporters. In other words, if you come across a particular crime and you don't report that you have or had knowledge of that crime, you can become complicit yourself in that crime, which is why you're called a mandated reporter. When you come across that information, you got to sack up and go let the officials and the authorities know.
If this is a felony that Andrew McCabe allegedly committed, would James Comey be an accessory to that? Would he be aiding and abetting a felon? Would he himself be obstructing justice? I think as a witness to this behavior, if he did nothing, he opens himself up, James Comey does, to a whole slew of additional problems, or at least questions, in my mind.
Right, particularly if, in fact, you can find that linkage indicating that he knew something at the time of
his own
whatever
statement.
crime.
His own statement is, I could be called as a witness to testify against him. That statement alone, how do you testify against somebody, or how do you testify as a witness if you had no knowledge or involvement? Unless your testimony is, I have no knowledge or involvement. But that's not what he said.
No.
So obviously he has some level of knowledge or involvement.
This is all going so wrong so fast for the people that thought they would all, at this point, be cutting a fat hog under Hillary Rodham Clinton. It's turning everything upside down. And
that's why people are losing their frickin' minds.
A result of that would be, and I'm sure you heard about the ridiculous Democrat lawsuit where they've decided they're going to sue Trump and the Republicans and Russia.
Yes.
Sometimes things that you don't
over
say,
a fucking election. Yes.
Yeah, some the things that you don't say
sue the winner.
or don't mention in submitting a lawsuit like that, I think it speaks every bit as much and every bit as loudly as the things that are written in it. What is not included in that lawsuit, Sir Clint? What is not included in that lawsuit is any mention whatsoever
of Trump colluding with Russia,
of the dossier.
Oh, this is yes.
Which they used.
Yes, but the lawsuit also, it doesn't mention the FISA courts.
Yes,
right?
as they used that in an affidavit when they were refused the first time.
But
from
I
the
don't
FISA
think
court.
I don't think the lawsuit alleges direct collusion with Trump and Russia.
But I find it interesting that it is conspicuously absent from any mentioning whatsoever. But I think this goes to prove the breadth and depth of the pants-shitting hysteria under which the Democrats, the leftists, and the American media maggots are operating, because they're discovering this crap is turning upside down. This is the tip of the iceberg. We're going to find out a whole lot of stuff that would never have been exposed had Hillary Clinton walked off,
of course,
with the
victory.
presidency.
Let me ask you this. We only have a few minutes left. Mueller. The Mueller probe continues. The Mueller saga continues. The Trump attorney saga continues. Stormy Daniels saga continues.
Right.
But enter Rudy Giuliani now to Trump's legal team.
The one thing that
Rudy Giuliani, sorry to interrupt you, says, I think we can have a quick resolution to this.
I'd like to believe that that's possible.
But how interesting is it that he says it with that level of confidence?
But it's intriguing. Now, I one thing I do have is faith in Giuliani's ability to perform as an attorney. I think he's shown that.
Yes.
As being in New York and having that ability for whatever district that is in New York as a federal prosecutor. Yes. So he clearly has experience in that. The one thing that I believe that every attorney, even remotely associated to Donald Trump, should be screaming in his ear is, do not sit down. Do not sit down for Mueller or any of the other people. There's a guy whose name is on Mueller's team. It begins with an A, Ashcraft or something like that.
Ashcroft.
Ashcroft?
Asshat.
Yeah,
I think his name's Asshat. Let's call him Asshat.
But he's an extremely cagey individual, and up to this point, all of the indictments that we've found, or any guilty pleas that have come about,
are shady.
Are all crime. They're not crimes having anything whatsoever to do with Russia, Trump, the election, anything like that. They are all crimes of process. So their goal is to make sure that they catch Trump in a crime of process. And I think that's not impossible.
No, I don't think. Yeah. So, I don't know. I wouldn't sit down with Asshat. Would you?
No, hell no. Trump can frequently be his own worst enemy.
Yes.
And he, too, quite frequently doesn't know when to take a steaming hot mug of shut the fuck up, which extends to stop the damn tweeting and put the phone down.
Yes.
As well.
Yes.
Well, that's a story for another day.
Maybe maybe Giuliani meant that it's going to be over because he's going to tell Asshat and Mugstain Mueller, whatever the hell his name is, to go screw themselves. Trump's not talking to them. Investigation's over.
If I can find it just before we go.
You have a large picture of me up on the screen, and I just took a gigantic drink of water from my hydro flask.
Okay. All right. From your what now?
It's a hydro flask.
And it's
called Hydro. It's called Hydro Flask. It's right there. It's a brand name.
Huh, okay.
I'm not endorsing this product, but
it
does keep my water very cold and delicious.
Water. Okay, I get that. That's right. It's like water. It keeps Clint's water cold.
It's the same color as water.
BZ's favorite as well. Good. Anyway, there was an article that I can't find right now because I've got 40 tabs open on this thing right now. But
38 of those are porn.
Well, shit, how did you know?
Because I came over there on break and took a look.
All right. Well, I didn't want to tell everybody that. But
you asked BZ to research one Stormy Daniels article,
and then it goes to...
I'm like, no, BZ, that's not the... No, BZ, that's not... No, BZ, that's not...
Yeah, BZ, get off Pornhub, okay?
Yes, that's...
And why are you on plastic sheets and WessonOil.com? I don't get that one either.
Allaroundthebarnyard.net. BZ. Come on.
Okay, anyway, I can't think of that guy's name, but basically everyone is saying that's the last guy, the guy with the A
ass
A
hat
of his last name. You should never
BZ say
ever,
it. BZ,
ever
hang on.
Sit down
BZ,
with ass hat.
BZ, thank you.
See, I said it.
Thank you. Thank you. His name now on this show
is
ass hat. Yes.
Okay, and that's the guy with whom Trump should never, ever, ever sit down.
Correct.
If Giuliani can make a negotiation for this. Now, before we go, because we're going to have to zip out of here with some music. By the way, the music is 1 minute long. Just thought I'd tell you that.
Okay. So we have 32 seconds.
Yeah. So what do you think is the possibility? Because I know what I think. What do you think is the possibility of Giuliani actually really being able to negotiate something with Mueller?
I don't think it's going to be so much a negotiation as I really think Giuliani is going to come in here and say, hey, listen, because they've known each other for a while, worked together, and I think they have mutual respect for each other. And I think Giuliani can say, hey, listen, I've been doing this shit a long time. You've been doing this shit a long time. Here's what I know you have. Here's what I know you don't have. He's not sitting down with you. Realistically,
God, please no. Please no.
Right, and that's what I think, Giuliani. I don't know what kind of negotiation he's going to engage in, because how do you negotiate? And I don't know that I want a criminal investigation negotiated away. I don't. Look, I just if there's a criminal investigation and there's something to look at,
if there's something there,
correct. If there's nothing there, I don't want a criminal investigation negotiated away. I think it degrades the negative finding. I want a criminal investigation to proceed throughout its course. What I don't want a criminal investigation to do is to lollygag and drag on and to go off onto superfluous fucking tangents like an ID theft case. That is what I hope Giuliani would come in there and say, hey, here's your focus. Let's talk about this. You either found something or you didn't. Look, if President Donald Trump did something criminal, if he did something where he was, in fact, paying Russia to be involved in our elections and doing something that was criminal, I will be the first one to stand up here and say, you know what, that's wrong and he needs to be held accountable. 100%. Do I think anybody? Do I like to see anybody go down over? Well, he forgot to dot his I on this document, and federal code says he has to do that. Well, there's bullshit laws on the federal level. There's bullshit laws on the state level. And I understand a law has to be enforced regardless, okay? I get that. But if he did something to what they're actually investigating in terms of Russia and using Russia to influence an American election,
out with it.
Absolutely.
Let's see it. Let's hear it. Let's do something with that.
But you know what? If he fucking did it, then his ass should be impeached. And he should be convicted in the Senate, and he should be thrown out of office.
But let's see the info.
Yes, let's see the information. But on the other hand, if he didn't do it, then shut the fuck up. It's gone on long enough ad nauseum, and let's move on with governing the country. And that's my thought on it. I know we're 1 minute over.
Here's what I think it is. It's a fishing expedition.
Of course it is, and that's
in
my
search
point.
of a suspect.
Of course it is.
And they just haven't found him yet.
Oh yeah, and or hey, let's twist this fact pattern to make it fit this particular theory, as opposed to seeing where the fact pattern takes us.
Yep, exactly. Well, that's it for Sackheads Against Tyranny, folks. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Thanks for being in podcast.
You're
Thanks
welcome.
for listening to us in podcast.
You're welcome.
As Sackheads Clint bangs the microphone for the 7th time tonight.
I need to get a new stand.
Oh, Jesus. Okay, well, I guess he didn't want to talk for the rest of the show. So, on behalf of Sackheads Clint and myself, I say thanks for listening, and tune in next Wednesday for Sackheads Against Tyranny. Ladies and gentlemen, good night.